Following a summer with deadly storms, the city of Rockford prepares to present its multi-million-dollar plan to fight floods in the coming years. On Monday, Rockford Public Works will present its stormwater master plan to city council members. WIFR's Nathaniel Langley finds one alderman on this Sunday who has waited years for this outline.
This has been a years-long process, of folks even calling down to Public Works.
Now Public Works presents its plan to Rockford City Council, fresh off President Joe Biden signing a disaster declaration for July's fatal floods.
I think it's an example of, advocacy from the ground level up.
The stormwater program identifies 35 projects, bringing an estimated $180 million worth of benefits to the city. Years of studies lay the proposal's foundation.
It's maddening to some people, and myself included, to think about, all these studies that need to be conducted.
But proposals don't come for free. Rockford Public Works reports a price tag of $120 million to reduce flooding.
The state and federal government really need these studies, and it more easily unlocks a lot of these funding sources.
This is Keith Creek, pretty small right now. One proposal could widen channels like this to prevent more flooding in the area.
There's nothing that's going to do more to help the people in Keith Creek than to kind of expand the watershed area.
Logeman sees the plan as community-powered and looking ahead to fighting climate change in the Forest City, especially for this neighborhood no stranger to nature's wrath.
Our duty as public officials to really help support neighbors who are living in 100-year homes who had nothing to do with some of the building and construction that occurred.
In Rockford, Nathaniel Langley, WIFR News.
A 2022 study from Region 1 estimates thousands of Keith Creek neighborhood residents could leave with proper flood mitigation. Alderman Logeman believes this plan is the first step to keep the working class area safe.